In ancient Babylon, King Nebuchadnezzar dreamed of a colossal statue, gold, silver, bronze, iron, each metal a symbol of empires rising and falling. The prophet Daniel revealed its meaning, a divine blueprint, a cycle of power and pride, echoing through history. These ancient stories still shape our world, reminding us that all kingdoms are fleeting. At the core of history is a single, persistent theme: rebellion, not just against nations but against the Creator himself, Yahweh. Empires rise, demanding worship, building kingdoms on sand. The Israelites, meant to be a light, also fell into this cycle. Today, the spirit of rebellion endures, shaping the fate of modern empires. How could the prophet Daniel, centuries in advance, so accurately predict the rise and fall of these colossal empires? The answer lies not in human wisdom, but in divine revelation. The prophecies of the Bible are not vague predictions or lucky guesses. They are a detailed, intricate tapestry, woven by a single hand, revealing a consistent pattern of how Yahweh interacts with human history. He sets boundaries for nations, he raises up leaders for his purposes, and he brings judgment upon them when they overflow with pride and wickedness. The statue in the dream was just the beginning of this unfolding revelation. Throughout the scriptures we find specific, verifiable prophecies that came to pass exactly as foretold. Jeremiah prophesied that the people of Judah would serve the king of Babylon for 70 years before their restoration, a period recorded with historical precision. Isaiah called the Persian king Cyrus by name nearly 150 years before he was born, identifying him as the one who would issue the decree to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. These are not isolated incidents, they form a consistent pattern, demonstrating that history is not a random series of events, but a story with an author, moving toward a predetermined conclusion. This prophetic pattern gives us a unique lens through which to view not only the past, but also the present. If the prophecies concerning Babylon, Persia, Greece and Rome were fulfilled with such stunning accuracy, it compels us to consider the prophecies that are yet to be fulfilled. The dream of the statue did not end with the iron legs of Rome. It concluded with the feet and toes, a mixture of iron and clay, representing a final, divided kingdom. A kingdom that is strong in some ways yet brittle and fragile in others. A kingdom that many believe describes the geopolitical landscape of our own time. Understanding this pattern is crucial. It gives us hope and perspective. It tells us that no matter how powerful or oppressive an empire may seem, its days are numbered. It assures us that human tyranny does not have the final say. The prophecies serve as a roadmap, helping us to navigate the turbulent currents of our times by recognizing the ancient spiritual forces at play. As we compare the rebellions of antiquity with the actions of modern superpowers, this prophetic pattern will be our guide, illuminating the path from the empires of yesterday to the last empire of tomorrow. The story of the great statue begins with its head of pure gold, Babylon, ruled by Nebuchadnezzar, the absolute monarch. Under his reign, Babylon became a city of splendor and power, famed for its hanging gardens and mighty walls. Yet, Nebuchadnezzar's pride led to judgment. Jerusalem fell, and the king himself was humbled. Babylon's golden glory became a symbol of human achievement, and the cost of rebellion against the Most High. Even the head of gold was destined to fall.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain.
Exiled in Babylon, the people of Judah faced deep sorrow and spiritual testing. Psalm 137 captures their longing. By the rivers of Babylon we sat and wept. Yet, through prophets like Jeremiah, hope endured, a promise of 70 years in captivity, then restoration. Even mighty Babylon would fall, for God's sovereignty and justice would prevail, shaping the faith and future of his people. Years after Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar ruled Babylon, blind to his empire's decay. At a lavish feast he desecrated Jerusalem's sacred vessels, mocking Yahweh as he praised idols. Suddenly a mysterious hand wrote a message on the palace wall, terrifying the king. None could interpret it, until Daniel, now old, was summoned. Daniel rebuked Belshazzar's arrogance and read the words, Mene, Mene, Tekel Upharsin. Yahweh had numbered Babylon's days, weighed it, and found it wanting. The kingdom would fall to the Medes and Persians. That very night, the city was invaded, Belshazzar was killed, and Babylon's golden age ended in silence. The head of gold had fallen, just as Daniel had prophesied. Every empire is weighed on the scales of divine justice. Babylon's fall ushered in the Silver Age, the Medo-Persian Empire, a dual power led by Cyrus the Great. Unlike Babylon's absolute monarchy, Persia was a coalition, symbolized by the statue's two arms. Centuries before, Isaiah had named Cyrus as God's chosen instrument to free the Jews and rebuild Jerusalem. In 539 BCE, Cyrus conquered Babylon and issued an edict allowing the exiles to return, fulfilling Jeremiah's prophecy. The temple vessels were restored and the Jews began rebuilding, but the Silver Empire's favor was fleeting. Medo-Persia's bureaucracy could be both a blessing and a curse, as seen in the stories of Esther and Nehemiah. The Age of Silver was powerful, but temporary, destined to be replaced by the next empire of bronze. The bronze belly of the statue foretold the rise of Greece, led by Alexander the Great. In a whirlwind of conquest, Alexander shattered Persia and built the largest empire the world had seen. Daniel's vision of a swift goat trampling a ram was fulfilled as Alexander's armies swept from Greece to India. Greek culture, Hellenism, spread everywhere, transforming language, art, and thought. But Alexander's reign was brief. He died at 32, and his empire fractured among his generals. The unity of bronze gave way to division, setting the stage for new conflicts. The Greek legacy endured, but the world was ready for the next, even stronger power. The prophetic timeline marched on, from bronze to iron. After Alexander, Judah was caught between rival Greek kingdoms. Under the Seleucids, Antiochus IV Epiphanes launched a campaign to erase Jewish faith, outlawing Torah and desecrating the temple. The abomination of desolation was meant to break the people's spirit, but it sparked rebellion. Mattathias and his sons, led by Judah Maccabee, fought back in a desperate guerrilla war. Against all odds, the Maccabees reclaimed Jerusalem and rededicated the temple. The revolt was a battle for spiritual survival, not just political freedom. The Bronze Empire's challenge was not only military but cultural and religious. The struggle between God's law and human empires would intensify under Rome. As Greek kingdoms weakened, Rome, the iron legs of the statue, rose to dominate the world. Rome's power was built on discipline, law, and relentless conquest. Its legions crushed all resistance. The empire expanded across the Mediterranean, uniting diverse peoples under its iron rule. Rome's strength was systemic roads, law, and military might enforced the famous Pax Romana. Yet this peace was harsh, maintained by fear and the sword. The empire's two legs foreshadowed its later split into east and west. Into this iron world, Yeshua was born, lived, and died, fulfilling prophecy amid the might of Caesar. Rome embodied the culmination of human power, but even iron would not last forever. In the Roman Empire, Yeshua's ministry in Judea sparked a clash of kingdoms: Caesar's empire, demanding worldly allegiance, and the kingdom of Yahweh, calling for love and devotion to the kingdom of heaven. When asked about taxes, Yeshua replied, "Render to Caesar what is Caesar's and to Yahweh what is Yahweh's," a principle echoing through history, challenging believers' ultimate loyalty. The Roman iron machine clashed with Judah, sparking rebellion and devastation. In 70 CE, Roman legions under Vespasian and Titus besieged Jerusalem, destroying the Second Temple. The city was left in ruins, fulfilling Yeshua's prophecy. The kingdom of Judah was hunted, enslaved, and slaughtered mercilessly, but remnants of the bloodline survived, spreading far beyond Jerusalem and ultimately re-established in the west coast of Africa as the Kingdom of Widda or Judah, which became the Slave Coast. The continued and prophesied sufferings of the Kingdom of Judah mentioned in Deuteronomy chapter 28 will be covered in a future video. The Roman Empire, the mighty legs of iron, appeared invincible. For centuries, its legions, laws, and legions had dominated the world, creating a structure that seemed permanent, eternal. Yet, the prophetic statue of Nebuchadnezzar's dream did not end with solid iron. The vision transitioned downwards to the feet and toes. This signaled a profound change, a degradation of power. According to the prophecy in Nebuchadnezzar's dream, no empire, no matter how strong, will last forever. The very strength of the iron contained the seeds of its own destruction. The vastness of the empire made it difficult to govern, and its insatiable need for conquest and resources eventually led to economic instability and overextension. The iron began to rust from within. Rome's fall was not a single event, but a long, slow, and agonizing process of decay. It was a crumbling that took place over centuries. The empire faced relentless pressure from barbarian invasions along its sprawling borders. Internally, it was plagued by political corruption, civil wars, and a succession of weak or incompetent emperors. The moral fabric of society frayed, worn down by decadence and a loss of the old civic virtues that had made the republic strong. The iron that had crushed the world found itself unable to support its own weight. The invincible machine was breaking down, piece by painful piece, demonstrating the inherent instability of all human power structures. In 476 CE, the last Western Roman emperor, a young boy ironically named Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by the Germanic chieftain Odoacer. This date is traditionally marked as the end of the Western Roman Empire. The iron leg was shattered. But the empire did not simply vanish. Its eastern half, the Byzantine Empire with its capital in Constantinople, would endure for another 1,000 years. However, the unified power that had dominated the world was gone forever. Europe, the former heartland of the Western Empire, fractured into a mosaic of competing kingdoms and territories ruled by the very barbarian tribes that Rome had once sought to conquer. This collapse was a seismic shift in world history, a fulfillment of the transition from the solid legs of iron to a more fragile state. The singular unifying power of Rome was replaced by a fragmented and decentralized world. The dream revealed that no single empire would ever again unite the world under its sole dominion in the same way that Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome had. The age of monolithic empires, represented by single metals, was over. History had now moved down to the feet of the great statue, to a new and final phase of human governance, before the end of a prophesied age. Daniel's prophecy describes a final kingdom, feet of iron and clay, strong yet fragile. The iron is Rome's enduring legacy, the clay, Europe's divisions. Despite alliances and treaties, unity remains elusive. This vision of iron and clay perfectly symbolizes our world, powerful yet always on the verge of breaking apart. The feet of iron and clay symbolize a fragile mix, the iron of state power and the clay of humanism. This blend creates a system that appears strong but is divided and unstable, built on shifting human opinion instead of divine law. In the end, it cannot hold together and is destined to shatter. The final image of the statue with its feet of mixed iron and clay is a powerful metaphor for terminal instability. Yeshua himself taught a principle that perfectly explains the weakness of this final kingdom. Every kingdom divided against itself is laid waste, and a house divided against itself will fall. The feet and toes represent a world system that is fundamentally divided against itself. It is a house where the iron of authoritarian control is in constant conflict with the clay of democratic or popular will. It is a world of alliances that are formed for mutual benefit but are undermined by nationalistic self-interest. It is a global order that cannot last because it is not truly unified. This division is not just political, it is spiritual. The iron represents the enduring human desire for empire, for control, for a man-made system of order and security. It is the legacy of Babel, Babylon, and Rome. The clay represents the inherent weakness and fallibility of humanity when it tries to defy the Most High. It is the pride that leads to chaos, the rebellion that rejects divine authority. The attempt to mix these two results in a civilization that is at war with itself. It creates incredible technologies and weapons of war, the iron, but lacks the moral wisdom and unity, the clay, to control them, leading to a perpetual state of conflict and anxiety. Consider the state of our world today. We have global institutions, economic systems, and military alliances that create an illusion of a unified iron structure. Yet we are more divided than ever. Nations compete fiercely for resources and dominance. Ideologies clash, creating deep social and political rifts within countries. The system is strong enough to create worldwide problems, economic crises, and the threat of nuclear war, but it is too divided and brittle to effectively solve them. We are living in the age of the feet of iron and clay. We see the strength, and we feel the fragility every single day. The prophecy of this divided kingdom is not just an ancient prediction, it is a headline in our daily news. It explains why our world feels so powerful and yet so close to collapse. It is the final, unstable configuration of human government before a dramatic, world-changing event. The statue is complete, standing precariously on its weak foundation. From its golden head to its iron and clay feet, it represents the entire history of human rebellion against Yahweh. The spirit of Nebuchadnezzar, the head of gold, did not die with ancient Babylon. Today, leaders build cults of personality, promising greatness, demanding loyalty, and blurring the line between themselves and the state. Surrounded by symbols of power, their names on towers, their words treated as law. It is the ancient pride of Babylon, repackaged for a modern age. The pride that comes before the fall. The spirit of Alexander the Great and his Bronze Empire also persists, though its methods of conquest have evolved. Alexander's goal was not just to rule lands, but to spread Hellenism, to create a single, unified worldwide culture. Today, this conquest is not waged with bronze spears but with satellites, fiber optic cables, and social media algorithms. A new, dominant worldwide culture, largely originating from the modern superpower, spreads across the earth with a speed and pervasiveness that would have, honestly, astonished the Greek conqueror. It's a form of Hellenization for the digital age, a relentless export of ideas, entertainment, fashion, and values that seeks to create a homogeneous world market and mindset. This modern cultural empire promotes a specific vision of the good life. It's a life defined by consumerism, celebrity worship, and the pursuit of endless entertainment and personal fulfillment. Hollywood blockbusters, pop music, fast food franchises, and viral internet trends become the universal language, shaping the aspirations of young people from Tokyo to Tehran, from Cairo to Rio de Janeiro. This cultural wave, like Hellenism, presents itself as progressive, sophisticated, and desirable. It subtly erodes moral codes, ancient wisdom, and unique cultural identities, replacing them with a standardized, commercialized, and ultimately shallow global monoculture that serves the interests of the empire. This cultural invasion is a more insidious form of rebellion against Yahweh than overt military oppression. It doesn't outlaw religion with force, as Antiochus did. It simply makes it irrelevant. It offers a competing gospel, a gospel of materialism and self-worship. It provides a constant stream of distractions that fill the void once occupied by spiritual contemplation and community. The new temples are shopping malls and stadiums, the new priests are celebrities and influencers, and the new liturgy is the endless scroll of a social media feed. It's a war for the soul fought on the battlefield of attention and desire, a seductive bronze empire that conquers hearts and minds without firing a single shot. Just as the Maccabees rose up to resist the forced Hellenization of their day, there is a need for discernment and resistance against this modern cultural onslaught. The challenge is to distinguish between enjoying the benign products of another culture and uncritically absorbing the godless values embedded within them. It requires a conscious effort to preserve spiritual identity, to prioritize the sacred over the profane, and to reject the lie that human worth is measured by possessions, popularity, or physical appearance. The Bronze Empire of global culture promises a connected world, but it often delivers a world disconnected from true meaning and divine purpose, a rebellion cloaked in entertainment. The iron of the Roman Empire, its law, order, and control, lives on in today's superpowers. Now, control is enforced not just by armies but through technology, finance, and data. The modern empire's power shapes our lives, demanding allegiance. Yet true security comes not from these systems, but from Yahweh. The prophetic statue's feet of iron and clay mirror today's world, strong yet fragile. The iron is state power, the clay the shifting will of the people. This unstable mix breeds division, rebellion, and chaos. The modern superpower stands on this foundation, awaiting the moment when it all comes crashing down. Through the ages, empires rose and fell, Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, each thinking itself eternal. But the prophecy points to a final collision. A divine stone not made by human hands shatters the statue's fragile feet of iron and clay. This is Yahweh's kingdom, breaking every legacy of human pride, establishing a reign of perfect righteousness and peace that will never be destroyed. What is this stone, this kingdom cut without human hands? The scriptures reveal it's the kingdom of Yahweh, brought by Yeshua, whose reign is not of this world. It's a spiritual kingdom established in the hearts of people, built on love, humility, and truth. One day this kingdom will fill the earth, replacing all flawed human systems with righteousness and peace. After the stone strikes the statue and grinds it to dust, the prophecy reveals a final, magnificent transformation. The stone becomes a great mountain and fills the whole earth, a symbol of Yahweh's eternal kingdom. Unlike the statue of man, which is temporary, this mountain is unshakable, peaceful, and everlasting. It's the promise of a world restored, humanity in harmony, and the final destiny revealed in Scripture. Nebuchadnezzar's dream isn't just history, it's a personal choice. The statue stands for the world's fleeting power, the stone, for Yahweh's eternal kingdom. Will we trust in temporary glory, or align with the everlasting? The prophecy is clear. The choice is ours, dust or dominion. Thanks for watching. If you found this video enlightening, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, don't forget to check out the powerful books written by TKW. The link is in the description.